Sit back and get comfortable. I have a few stories to share with you.
It was a typical autumn afternoon. The sun was mellow, the wind was soft, and I was riding my bike blissfully down a deserted country road. "Hey mate," a man's voice ripped through my thoughts. I looked around. A grey van had pulled up alongside me, and the driver craned his neck over to me. "Do you know anyone named Karl Reillies?" Karlrellies, asked the driver. He smiled, baring his blindingly white teeth. A grey cap perched on top of his long, dark mane. "Oh no, sorry. I don't know. Do you know the name of the street? Maybe I could direct you there." I stammered. Still smiling, he said, "No worries," gave me a thumbs up and drove away. Bewildered, I watched as the grey van slowly disappeared around the bend. What was that about? Whatever, I shrugged and carried on. The sky was crimson by the time I decided to go home. The streets were empty as I rode through town. In the melancholic twilight, I suddenly saw it again. The grey van slowly approaching me. It was the same van and the same man. "Do you know anyone named Karl Reillies?" Karlrellies. The same question, asked in the exact same way. I stared at his eerie, artificial smile in bewilderment. Surely he was not still looking and had forgotten our previous encounter. Overcome with emotions, I hysterically said, "No," then sped away. Looking back, I saw the grey van slowly turning around. After abruptly turning left, I shoved myself into a small alley. Between the terraced houses, I stood panting in the shadow, sweating from the effort and the fear. The grey van slowly drove past my hiding place. I held my breath, counted to 100, then, as stealthy as a cat, I sneaked out on my bike. To my great horror, the grey van was still at the top of the street. The driver was in conversation with another passerby. He asked the same question as the passerby shook his head. I made a run for it. I got to my house and collapsed onto my sofa, trying to calm myself. I was safe. Clearly, there was something sinister about a man just driving around, asking every person he met about another strange person. Karl Reillies? That name was distinctive enough that he could have just gone straight to the police's office and get an answer. So why didn't he? And who was Karl Reillies? It sounded almost like the driver only wanted to know if I knew who the guy was. No more, no less. Curiosity got the better of me as I decided to Google the name. Immediately, I wished I didn't. Serial killer on the run, Karl Reillies. I looked at dozens of alarming news headlines, and there, on the page, with his long black mane and blinding white smile, the grey van driver looked back at me. The doorbell chimed.